Welcome to the Aligned Ambition Show, where we share women's entrepreneurial wisdom. Are you a woman starting or growing your online heart-centered business? Are you wanting to do things differently? Do you feel icky about using manipulative marketing tactics and are ready to align your business with your ethics, values, and life goals? If this sounds like you, then stick around for this conversation.
We're the dreamers, the believers, breaking through the mold, building up our visions with a purpose brave and bold.
All right, well, welcome to the Aligned Ambition Show. I'm your host, Larissa Russell, and today I have with me Bridgit Norris. Bridgit is a no BS strategist, business consultant, and the force behind She Leads the Law, empowering women law firm owners to step into true leadership with a background in scaling multi-seven-figure businesses and a fearless approach to breaking industry norms. She helps female attorneys build firms that work for them, not the other way around. A former COO turned entrepreneur. I said I was struggling with my voice today. Bridgit is on a mission to revolutionize law firm leadership by ditching burnout culture and embracing CEO-level strategy. I love the sound of this, so welcome, Bridgit.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I am excited to talk to you about this because I think this is a really important space, women in leadership, and how we think that we have to fit into this very masculine energy way of doing things. So maybe first tell us a little bit about how you ended up, being an entrepreneur as opposed to working in a law firm, and how that all came about.
Oh, I think I start like most, especially moms. I started in the corporate and was in construction for, we'll see, my son just turned 27. So it was a couple years before he was born. So it was a long time. And then it got to a point where, you continue to grow. You're doing the things you're supposed to do. We're supposed to keep, climbing that corporate ladder and figuring out how to do it. And it came a point in time where my son, I think he turned about 12 or 13. And he was like, it was the basic, I don't want to hang out with you anymore. I don't need you to pick me up from school. I got my friends. I don't need mom. And I was like, what am I doing with myself now? Like, I'm like, all of the things that you build were built around, I could create my own schedule with him, go to PTA and go to soccer games and do all those things. And then he was like, yeah, you don't even need to come. And I was like, what am I doing? Now, what am I doing for me? And that kind of started an evolution of, I don't know who I am, and I'm going to try a lot of things. And I tried everything. I think 7 network marketing companies. I opened up a gym for women. I mean, I literally tried all the things. And my husband was like, so sweet. He was like, eventually you'll figure it out. I'm like, I hope so. And all of those things, I think you just realize that what you're really good at. And I had to kind of hone back into the fact of, I always kind of thought online that my corporate skills had no translation. Like, they don't translate here. Everybody gets online and you see what everybody's selling, what everybody's doing. It's, it's the coaching and and I tried all of those things and, I had success in the coaching side of it. But I just still didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it connected to what I was really good at. And I finally I actually shut my business down 3 years ago. Like, I closed my last coaching group. And I'm like, what is it that I need? What do I want? What do I need? And I was also exhausted with social media. It was just like, it's too much. And it became too much. And I'm like, it's ever consuming. I felt like that's all I was doing. So I literally it was October. So I think I spent the rest of that year just not doing anything related to that. And I didn't even go on social media unless I, wanted to post my dogs or, wanted to just do something fun. And then I got back. I think once you have that calling to do something else, it's always tugging at you. So around February, I was like, okay, I'm back on social media. And I don't know if it was like the universe plopping it in my lap, but there was a post and I happened to see it. And I'm going to be honest, I don't even know how. I don't even know how I was in that group. I don't even remember. But it was a company saying, we coach, lawyers, we need coaches. And I'm like, oh, this could be exciting because this is up my kind of corporate alley and I don't actually have to market myself on social media. Let me give it a whirl. And that is the spin into how I ended up working with lawyers at this point. So it's a very long, convoluted journey to that.
And so doing that, you're not a lawyer yourself then. So you went into that, and so it's not about the law, it's about empowering women in law.
So the getting into the law was extremely random. I'm not a lawyer. I had never worked with lawyers before. And honestly, the first time I started coaching them, it was men and women. There was no separation, which I was excited to do initially because I'd never worked with men before. In all the years of all the things I'd ever done, I never specifically coached men. So I was like, oh, this could be something new, something exciting. And I was horribly terrified because I'm like, what is it that I'm going to be able to bring to a lawyer? It doesn't really matter. They've got to know everything. And what I realized is they're really good lawyers and they went to law school. They didn't go to business school. They do not know how to run a business. They don't know how to lead. And eventually I think it was about 8 months ago. I don't know what it was. It was like a light bulb where I'm like, there's not very many women in our program. And I'm like, okay, number one, that's a problem. Why? And then number two, the women that I did talk to, it was astonishing, the things that I heard. They don't pay themselves. I had one woman tell me she had not paid herself in 3 years. And, I'm like, I just couldn't grasp the concept of it. And I'm like, okay. And then I started looking around, and searching. What do women in law search for? What do they need? And it's disgustingly sad that all I could find was, what are women supposed to wear to court? And I'm like, that's not what women in business are thinking about 24/7 is what they're wearing. I'm like, it's so it brought me right back to the construction days of it being, this is what I expect from the good old boys club in construction. It's the same concept. And I'm like, women need a space for it. And the more you dig, besides that, it was like, how does a woman leave law? Right. And do something else. And I'm like, well, what if she enjoys being a lawyer? Why would she want to leave law because she can't fit into that space? And that's when I realized that is a missing link for women in the legal space and needing the type of leadership and understanding that they can talk about those things. They can have those things. They can have money conversations. They can be a CEO, still doing it in the way that works best for them and not having to fit in that mold that everybody else is having to fit into.
Yes, that's absolutely it. And it doesn't matter what business, really, women are seen differently, right? And they are trying to fit into that very masculine energy world of whatever type of corporate setting it is, and to be different than that has its own set of challenges. But we are very different creatures. We are very different in how we have been indoctrinated in life. And so I just think it's absolutely brilliant that, yes, here's these amazing women who have done this amazing thing, gone through law school and done all of this. But yeah, they don't teach all the pieces. And so here you can step in and help with that. I love that.
Yeah, I think a part of it too is like I even in our own, group, our mastermind calls with being led by our founder and stuff, there would be comments like, how do you have the time? Or why don't you just time block? Or these ridiculous things that I'm like, as a woman, as a mom, I cannot shut my phone off for 3 hours and time block and just focus. Like the world doesn't work like that. And we are the ones running the houses. We're the ones like, who do they call when the kid's sick at school? Those things just are inherently who we are. So to ask us to just shut it all off and time block and shut your phone off, it's not useful for women, and for most women. I wouldn't say all, because I'm sure that there are some that don't have that need to do that. But for me, it was like, why are we having the same conversations? You cannot tell everybody to do the same thing. It doesn't work like that, especially for women. We're just not built that way.
Yeah, absolutely. We have so many other commitments besides just our business, whatever that is. And yeah, the house, the kids, the aging parents, the spouse, if you have one, you're responsible for all of it. You've been a CEO of everything in your life. And then you're supposed to add this in there too. And often, women, we are so busy looking after everyone else that everything that we want to do takes a back burner, like paying ourselves, right? That's a perfect
Yeah.
example. You're out there doing all of this work and not, receiving your due, what's due to you.
Yeah, and it's almost like, and I didn't realize it, but it's almost like it's a taboo conversation. Like women shouldn't be having those real money conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just strange to me, and then again, that always kind of piques my, like, go do some research, and I'm like, why is it that everything that relates to money in your business, women, here's a $5 coupon off, or how to save money on this, and men, here's how you invest, here's how you make more money. And I'm like, the shift, even where we are today, even with the amount of women that are out there teaching wealth and talking about wealth, it's still in circles, and people are still, women are still terrified to have the conversations out loud, and having a safe space to do it is obviously important, but just someone screaming it to the rooftops. We need more people, having that conversation. I think I had a woman the other day, and she was like, oh, they had asked, and I actually saw this, they had asked, where's the lawyer? And she's like, I am the lawyer. And she's like, this is the kind of things I get all the time. And they're like, oh, you opened up a law firm? Oh, that's sweet. That's cute. That should be fun. And I'm like, who says that to another man? Oh, you opened up a business? That's amazing. Like, what's happening? We don't say those kind of things. So it's just this,
Mm-hmm.
there's a huge shift that needs to happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The ideas around, what men do in the world, money is a big one of them, right? That whole idea of investing, women, waste money, men spend money on important things, and they're the breadwinners, and it hasn't been true for so long, but we're still so entrenched in that we don't believe it our own selves, right? Like, we weren't taught about money. We weren't taught those things. If we have a brother, maybe they were taught, because, that's an important thing for boys to know. And yet there's so many women that are running businesses. And that's one that I struggled with for a long time, was the money piece, because of that whole idea of, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. And you don't ask anybody, because, you're,
Yeah.
it's just such an important part. And so as you're doing this, working with women and giving them that safe space to talk about things like money and the differences and all of that, what are some of the changes that you're seeing?
I think the biggest few are understanding that they can lead as a CEO, they can be a visionary, they can be the strong person in that role that is leading a team of, however many people you have on a team, and still do it in a way that feels good to you, that's comfortable to you, that aligns with what you want and what you want to give. Because what I find is that culture is really important to women, and they really want to be able to give back. All of the women that I've had a chance to speak to, when I ask them what their goals are and what they want to be able to do more for their employees, whether they're in-house or whether they're virtual. That is usually not something, unfortunately, I hear men say, not that they're not doing it, it's just not top of mind, and it's not something that it's on their heart to do initially. And that does not make them a bad leader, a bad business person. Obviously, there's a way that it has to be done so that your business is still profitable, that you're paying yourself, that that they can strategically go about it. But I think that's a big one for me, because I think far too often they think, I can't do that. That's not correct. That's not the way everybody else is running their law firms. So I'll just throw that to the back burner, which at the end of the day, to me, if you end up hating your business or end up hating what you're doing, there's no purpose in it anymore. You've lost the flame of it.
And I think that's why so many women burn out, right? Because you're trying so hard to do something that's not aligning with you. It's not the way you want to be doing things. It's not the way you want to be showing up. You're working extra hard on that just to make it work, right? You're just shoving it and trying so hard. And then you have everything else too. And, we have this huge amount of depression and anxiety and burnout. The entrepreneur space, what I've noticed, and maybe it's because I'm neurodiverse, but there's a lot of neurodiversity in the online space as well, because we don't fit into, as entrepreneurs, we don't fit into the corporate world. I did it for years, and well, 25 years I did it, and it nearly killed me. And once I stepped out of it and I could breathe, then I had to figure out what was important to me. And that's a whole other cycle that you have to go through, right? What's
Yeah.
important to me? How do I want to show up? What feeds me so that I can keep helping other people? And that's such an important thing to figure out. Yeah, it's absolutely. The space around, women trying to do things the way they've been told, or, the way other people are doing them. Is there any tips or anything that you can share that, is like something to think about, at least in switching things up?
I think that a lot of, and I think there's a lot of talk about planning, and we talk about, planning our days and planning our weeks and, planning this. And I think that there's a big missing piece in understanding that having a real strategic plan, what that looks like, how it looks for your year, how to break that down then into quarters, and have goals, and then how to incorporate your team, which is important to you, into those goals. Not just by establishing, everybody wants to talk about, I just want to establish KPIs and we want our teams to hit them and we want to do it. If they aren't a part of your vision, if you don't know what your vision is, they don't know what the goals are, they don't feel like they're a part of the team collectively, a part of making those things happen. And I think that is something important, that as we push along and, we're plugging along in business and we want to talk about money, we want to talk about revenue, and we want to talk about all of those things. It's important to have a plan, and it's important to incorporate your team into that plan. And if you don't know what your vision is, if you don't have a plan, like, that's number one. We're going into almost the last quarter of this year. This is the time that you should be planning. I tell everyone to plan. We plan in September so that we can launch in December, because we're starting before everyone else. We're not starting January 1, we're starting in December. So now's the time for you to start thinking about that and planning. So that would be my number one tip for now, and start with the vision. If you don't know what that is, that's where you want to start. We always talk about like mission, vision, and values. Those are 3 things that translate to your team.
Yes. And even if you don't have a team, if you're a solopreneur, planning is such an important part. Now, we do things a little bit differently because we actually do our planning in February, the end of February. Winter is the rest time, so we should be winding things up right now, and energetically. We should be winding things up and starting to look at, what we've done, what's been happening. Coming into that rest period, we want to know what's worked, what hasn't. And then we plan after all the chaos, because, our society doesn't mesh with energy. And so after that, when it's, leading into spring, it's like, okay, now is the time that we should be start planning and putting things into place. Either way, December is not the time to be doing it.
No. And I think that just recognizing that for yourself, like, that's what works best for you. That's what works best within your energy. Thinking about that. I mean, if you're a person that, though, gets to January, and then January, we're 2 weeks in, we're 3 weeks in, you're like, oh my God, I don't know. And now we're freaking out and we're having to worry about that chaos. Now we're starting the year in chaos versus just understanding. Or like, if you're going to do it at the end of February, you just come into that January knowing that and be comfortable with that, and not initiate the chaos. Because obviously we all see it, right? We're going to get bombarded in January with, what are you doing? Do you have resolutions? And where are you at? And what's happening? And it just causes more stress than anything else.
Yes, absolutely. Whatever cycle you're on, make sure that it works for you and that you're doing it, right? That planning, the year planning, the quarterly planning. We plan with the seasons, that quarterly planning, and then we do monthly, and then we do weekly, and then we do daily. So we have all of those. And I think it's such an important part. And it seems like a lot of wasted time, but actually you're saving so much time, because you're not spinning your wheels. You're not going off in all different directions. You're just staying in one direction. Always what your goal is and the direction that you're going. So really important.
Yeah.
Really important.
That's
yes.
great.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here. Where can people find you?
I make it super easy. So I have been delving into the LinkedIn world these past 4 months. I'd never been on there before, so it's been very interesting. But LinkedIn and Instagram is where usually I am the most, and it's very easy. It's at Bridgit Norris, and it's Bridgit Norris. You can find me on any of those places, and always feel free, message me. I am the type of person that you message me, you have a question, I'm going to help you. I'm going to answer you. I want to see everybody, have that boost that, it's not just seeing people succeed. It's what's the next step. And sometimes we just need a kick in the pants to take it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you. We will have your links below. And I want to thank you again. Any final thoughts before we go?
Oh, be who you are, know who that is, and live it every day in your business. And don't be afraid. I always tell, I'm super rebellious since I was a kid. And even if you weren't that rebellious person, you really can own kind of that little part of your world for yourself, because that's what makes you different. That's why people connect with you.
Yes, absolutely. Stop trying to be like everyone else. Be your own self, and the people who need you will find you. So
Amen.
yes, absolutely. Thank you for that.
Thank
And
you.
for those listening or watching, we will see you next time on the Aligned Ambition Show. Are you a woman interested in aligning your heart-centered business with your ethics, values, and life goals? Join our Aligned Business Building Mastermind for accountability, like-minded women who become your business colleagues to share your journey with, resources and trainings, and so much more. Join us for 1 month free using the link below. Thank you, and we'll see you next time on the Aligned Ambition Show.